Acceptance does not mean approval. Repeat after me. Acceptance does not mean approval. And when Pastor said that this past Sunday, I was just like, you're right. And I immediately thought about when I was going to therapy, and my therapist was pretty much trying to help teach me about accepting things. And it goes hand in hand because she was letting me know that when certain situations happen, you kind of just have to accept it in that moment, even though it might be hard. And that's still something that I'm practicing daily, just kind of accepting this thing happened, and just try not to get upset or mad about it type thing. For example, I remember going to like a play place with my daughter, and there was a situation of, we were just walking through the entrance gates, but like literally as we're walking through, there's like this tall guy walking out literally, and the gates aren't big. They're pretty, like, they're narrow. They're not that big. Like, two people can't really walk through at the same time. But him and his children purposely walked through the gates literally as me and my daughter are literally walking through the gate. So it's like he's trying to have authority, saying, I'm going to go through this gate first before you could even think about going through this gate. And I did not like that at all. And I was fuming on the inside, and I was just really annoyed and frustrated because it's just like, you see us, like, you're tall, you could see what's ahead of you, and you knew that we were literally about to walk through. And I just got so frustrated in that moment because I just don't like ignorance like that. Because what is the reason for it? What is the reason behind it? What is your thought process when doing things like that? So I really just kind of had to just be like, you know what, Shayna, accept it. You're annoyed about it, but just accept it. It happened, and there's really nothing I could do about it. And sometimes, depending on what we go through, acceptance is really one of the hardest things. And when Pastor said acceptance does not mean approval, he's right. You could accept certain things, does not mean you approve of it. Just like, for example, you have a child, or, you know, you're in a relationship, you have your friendships, anything that might be going on, work, co-workers, whatever. You could accept people as they are. You could accept the things that they do, even if it's wrong, stay with me here, does not mean you approve of said behavior, of what it is that they're doing. Because I think that's the hardest thing for us as people. We don't always accept people for who they are. You know, naturally we want to try to change them so that they fit into what we want them to be and what we think of perfection when we look at them. When people are made perfectly as they are, that's just who they are. And it's important for people to grow as they get older. You know what I mean? You should always be growing and you should always be learning. But sometimes that's not always the case with people. So that's when he said that, it really just hit the nail on the head. You could accept, even just if someone's living a lifestyle that you're not happy with, that's okay. Accept it. Accept the lifestyle that they're living, even though you don't like it, even though if you know that it's hurting them, even if you feel like you want them to just change their life and devote their life to Christ. You cannot force that upon them. They need to want to have that change for themselves. So just accept them as they are. Allow them to come as they are to you, because you want to be able to go to God as you are. And you want him to accept you as you are, flaws and all, because nobody is perfect. We are all sinners at the end of the day. So if you want to be accepted by God, and God does accept us for who we are, does not mean he approves of the behaviors and the certain lifestyles that some of us might live. And that's okay. You know, we can He gives us free will. We could either choose to change our lifestyle, or we could continue living in that sinful life, because we want to live for the world instead of living for Christ. It's really just your choice at the end of the day, but I really just wanted to just come on here and just really just kind of let you know, acceptance does not mean approval. And before, Pastor was just like, it's okay to be accepting of people and loving them still. But then he had to reel it in with the however does not mean I give approval of it. Like, for example, another example, my daughter. I accept her as she is. I love her for who she is. She's awesome. She's wonderful, amazing. Same thing with my mom. She's great. I'm learning two things. Separate my daughter for a second. My mom. I'm learning to just accept her for who she is and understand that this is just who she is. Although I may not always approve of certain things that she may do or say, I'm still choosing to accept her anyways, because who am I to be like, oh, this and that and a third, when it's like, take a look in the mirror much, Shayna. Like, are you perfect? Do you not do wrong things sometimes? Say things that are not the kindest things? Like, yeah, I do. So it's like, I can't really look at her like, I'm not going to accept her for who she is, but it's like, I want God to accept me for who I am. So it doesn't make sense for me not to be able to accept her for who she is, but I cannot. But I want the Creator to accept me for me. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just like my daughter. Again, back to my daughter now. She does something wrong. Does not mean I no longer accept her for who she is. She just did that wrong thing that I don't approve of, But I still love her. I still accept her. She's still my baby girl, even though she's not a baby girl no more. So I think it's important that just as people and, as Christians, if you are a Christian, even if you're not a Christian, to just truly accept people as they are. And like I said, it's obviously so much easier said than done. But there's nothing wrong with trying. Just try. And I just want to end this off with, we got into Luke 19, verses 1 through 10. So that's Jesus and Zacchaeus. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, but that story. And I think it's actually a pretty nice story. I might read it because this also has to do with like acceptance as well. Acceptance, but not necessarily approval. So I'm just starting from chapter 19, verses 1 through 10 in Luke. Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town. There was a man there named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass that way. When Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. "Zacchaeus," he said, "quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today." Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. "He has gone to be a guest of a notorious sinner," they grumbled. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, "I will give half my wealth to the poor, Lord, and if I have cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much." Jesus responded, "Salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost." And I just thought that was just something so beautiful. Because, like it says, Zacchaeus was the chief tax collector. He obviously must have done things while doing taxes that clearly a lot of people were not happy about if he was a notorious sinner. But look at who Jesus was calling by name and wanted to go into his home. You know what I mean? Into the sinner's house. He's a notorious sinner. But Jesus said, hey, buddy, can I come over? Yes. Let me come over to your place and let's sit down. And Zacchaeus was just so happy and so excited because Jesus still accepted him as he was. He may not have approved of his behavior, but Zacchaeus was willing to be like, you know what? If I cheated them, I'm going to give them back 4 times as much. And I will give half my wealth to the poor. So it's just important that you remember we're all sinners. Does not mean that the Lord does not accept us as we are. He accepts us as we are. He just doesn't approve of the things we may do or lifestyles we may live. And just the verse that really stood out to me in that is Luke 19:10. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost. Let that resonate in your spirits. Let that marinate, just taking that word, taking that daily bread. And I hope this sits with you and you resonate with it and you gain something from it. It makes you want to pick up your Bible. If you never picked up the Bible, I hope you feel encouraged to even want to pick up the Bible and just read through it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.